One of the great things about web-based learning or e-learning is that it gives us the ability to use, reuse, and share learning content. In our courses, we can pull some of this external content in a variety of different ways, and this video is going to look at some of the ways we can do that. So this is Unit 7. Now we've seen already that we can actually just add a URL resource to pull in web-based content and also integrate iframes so that it will embed web-based content into our courses. But there are some advantages to using some other technologies. Some of the web-based content actually has assessment built into it. And we need to find a way, or it would be great if we could find a way to bring those assessments into Moodle with the content and have them automatically scored. And there is, in fact, a way to do this. So let's just first look at some of the ways that we have already examined on bringing content into courses. So we've said that one of the ways we could embed content is by using the external web page resource. And I'm going to look at a unit on the water cycle, and I've embedded it, or I've pulled it in 4 different ways. So let's first look at just the water cycle as an embedded web page. So if I just click on this here, the web page opens up inside my Moodle system. And this is a complete unit that has the links to take you from one slide to the next. There's a YouTube video as part of the learning, a graphic that you can learn from, etc., etc., etc. So that's one way we have of pulling content in, and that's via an embedded URL. But the second way that we looked at was also to use iframes. And what I've done here is I've just created a page resource and embedded an iframe in it. And you'll see that it looks very similar to the resource we just looked at. The only difference is I've set a much smaller size to this, so that rather than just scrolling the entire page, you have to scroll the iframe a little bit as well. And you can adjust that to whatever size that you really need to display the resource properly. So that's 2 ways of bringing content in. But if you go down to the last page of this learning unit on the water cycle, you see that there's actually an assessment, test your knowledge, and it's a bunch of matching questions. You look at points on the map here, and you have to match them up to the definitions down here below. The problem is that if I just do this online, it's great, it's good practice, but I did it and my score is 0 out of 10. That's all it is. It's just practice. There's no record of the score, and so there's no way I have of bringing that score into the Moodle system when I'm using it as an embedded web page. So what we need is a resource that allows us to do this, and that resource is the SCORM activity. SCORM stands for Shareable Content Object Reference Method. And so it's a standard that was derived many years ago that allowed learning content objects to be transferred from one system to another, but still allow the assessment data from that object to be uploaded into the system that it's been dropped into. And you can do this in Moodle as well. And so what I've done is I've also set this water cycle as a SCORM package, and I'm going to show it to you from here. And now there are 2 things about the SCORM package. Is that one, we can play it. In other words, when I say play, I mean launch the learning activity, and that's great. But we saw that we could play it when it was as a web page as well. And now you can see that it launches with a little different interface, which is fine. And we can click through to the different pages. Notice also, though, that the page has been centered in the window that we're using. Click through this straight to the assessment. Now, I can go through, and if I do this test and submit it, that score is actually going to be, I'm going to put A, B, C, D, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Oh, all wrong. And so let's just show the answers. The score that I got now, once I complete this learning unit, is actually going to be saved in Moodle. Okay, so that's the big advantage, exit activity. That's the big advantage of using a SCORM as opposed to the embedded web page. Now, of course, the embedded web page is much more flexible in how you can display it, but the SCORM gives you that assessment capability. There's one other way that we can embed learning content objects, and that is the IMS content package, and that also allows you to lift learning content and drop it into any learning management system. Note also that not every learning content object is actually going to be set up as a web page, so you may actually need to have either a SCORM reader or an IMS content reader to allow you to display this variety of shareable content. So let's just look at how it looks in the IMS reader. You're going to see it looks very, very similar to the SCORM. The main difference here is it's treated here only as a resource. There's no transfer of the assessment when you're using it as an IMS content package. You can see that it clicks through in exactly the same way. Has a little table of contents the same way that the SCORM does. Note that the table of content was actually built into the website in the other two. Let's just go straight to the test your knowledge. Same test, same score, but in this case it's not actually going to be uploaded to the Moodle gradebook. And you can check that easily. If I go to course administration and check the gradebook, you'll see that the only one of those that is actually been added to the gradebook is going to be the SCORM object. And if you scroll down across, we see, yes, indeed, this one is the only one that has been added as an actual assessed activity. And so that's how you can pull external content into your Moodle course. There is the one way, the SCORM, that allows you to do this. We're also developing new technologies, XAPI or Tin Can, that's a more expanded version of SCORM that will allow you to pull not just web-based content, but also external activities. And when I say external, offline activities, and have them assessed within Moodle. And then also there's the LTI, or Learning Technology Interoperability Standards, that are technical standards allowing different learning tools to be pulled into learning management systems. And the Moodle community is working right now on building operability within Moodle for both of these. But at this stage, they, while functional, are not really very useful for particularly intermediate users. There are some real advanced users that can make good use of them, but for what we're doing right here, it's more trouble than we're worth. So just to review, for the methods of embedding content that we have been looking at: embedded in URLs, embedding using iframes, shareable content, object reference methodology, and the IMS packages. I hope this helps.